Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Fiber Broadband Association's Five for Breakfast. We're now on our 18th episode of 2023. But before we kick off, I'd like to thank Wesco, the platinum sponsor of Five for Breakfast, and our gold sponsor, Gray Bar. In Washington, D.C. today, the Fiber Broadband Association is filing comments with NTIA on NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act procedures, and categorical exclusions. This is an important proceeding as it has to do with NTIA's process for analyzing the environmental effects of the BEAD funding and what a wrong process could result in introducing significant delays and cost into the program. So FBA supports NTIA's decision to largely adopt the NEPA procedures established by FirstNet, and we generally are comfortable with its proposed categorical exclusions, but we're concerned the way the NTIA proposed to define the extraordinary circumstances is unduly expansive. And given that conducting environmental assessments and environmental impact statements takes a long time, we're proposing that time not be counted against the BEAD program's 4-year completion deadline. We're also getting a lot of questions about NTIA's middle mile grants. So Secretary Raimondo testified last week before the Senate Appropriations that NTIA is working hard to get the middle mile money out by the end of June. So look for it here in, I guess we're in May, so by the end of next month. Our next Regional Fiber Connect workshop is coming up quickly and be held on May 16th in Austin, Texas. This is going to be really important given that Texas is eligible up to $3 billion of BEAD funding. So Texas is going to be the largest recipient potentially, and you're not going to want to miss it. So please register today as the hotels and the workshops sell out very quickly. After Austin, our next Regional Fiber Connect workshop will be in Lake Tahoe, California on June 21st. So not only is this going to be a great educational event, but what better place than being in Squaw Valley in June. So it's going to be awesome. I hope you guys can join us there. And then also registration opened this week for Fiber Connect 23 in Orlando from August 20th to 23rd. This will be the biggest and best fiber event in the world this year with over 4,000 attendees and an amazing program. This event has sold out the past 2 years, and we anticipate the same this year. So please don't wait to register or book your room at the Gaylord. And join us Tuesday, May 9th, next week at 11 a.m. Eastern for a special webinar, Improvements to the Supply Chain. The Fiber Broadband Association Supply Chain Working Group will provide an update on what's going on with the fiber industry supply chain. You can register at our website under webinars. And that brings us to today's Fiber Breakfast session with Joseph J.J. Jones and Rich Williams discuss Fiber Connect 23, Let the Disruption Begin. But before I formally introduce today's guests, I'd like to introduce Trish Ehlers from our team, who's going to walk us through some housekeeping items.
Thank you, Gary, and good morning to everyone who's joined us this morning. Before I go over a few logistical items, we'd like to once again thank the platinum sponsor of Fiber for Breakfast, Wesco, and our gold sponsor, Gray Bar. Now, if everyone would just keep in mind that you're in listen mode only. To ask a question, you can type it into the question box within your control panel on the right side of your screen. We'll host a Q&A session with our panelists at the end of today's webinar. This presentation is being recorded and will be available on FBA's website within 24 to 48 hours. You can find the recording in the Events tab under the Fiber for Breakfast drop-down option. At the conclusion of the presentation, you'll be prompted to complete a brief feedback survey. If you'd take a minute to do that, we really appreciate your input. I'll pass it back to Gary now to introduce our panelists and get us started. Gary?
Thanks, Trish, and good morning. I'm Gary Bolton, the President and CEO of the Fiber Broadband Association. Last week on Fiber for Breakfast, we heard from John Schultz, AT&T's Director of Sustainability Integration, on fiber, a climate hero. This was a great discussion on how AT&T is helping businesses reduce a gigaton of global emissions by 2035 and how AT&T is going to reach its zero carbon footprint goals. Last week, we also held a global webinar with our results from a sustainability survey. And the key takeaways is that Europe is far and away the leader in sustainability efforts. and Latin America is a distant second. Unfortunately, the US and the rest of the world are well behind, and our industry needs to act in developing plans to achieve zero carbon footprint. And fiber is going to be a giant contributor to being able to meet those targets. Today on Fiber for Breakfast, we have the pleasure of hearing from the Fiber Broadband Association's chairman and chair of Fiber Connect 23, Joseph J.J. Jones, the president of Trac, and Rich Williams, our Fiber Connect 23 program director and the founder and president of Connect 2 Communications. They're going to share with you some insights on why Fiber Connect 23 will be the biggest and best fiber broadband event in the world, if not in history, and what fiber will disrupt next. You know, JJ is the president of Trac, Inc., and is the chairman of the board for the Fiber Broadband Association, and has been the long-serving chairman of the Fiber Connect Conference Committee. Rich Williams is the president of Connect 2 Communications PR agency, and he works with clients on messaging, program development, and goals with the team at Connect 2 to ensure programs develop match clients' priorities. In his role as FBA's conference program director, he works with the executive team and other stakeholders to craft and curate the agendas for the regional Fiber Connect workshops and the annual Fiber Connect conference and expo. So welcome, JJ and Rich. And for our audience, please type in your questions as we go, and we'll work them into the Q&A. So let's kick things off. You know, today's session is really basically an insider's guide to Fiber Connect 23 with the leadership of the conference and why it's become the #1 broadband conference in the world. But before we jump into the conference, let's start with JJ and Rich's partnership and why you guys are so passionate about the conference and why you're having so much fun. So JJ, you know, you've been leading the conference efforts at the Fiber Broadband Association for over a decade, and your company's been involved with the Fiber Broadband Association's leadership for over 2 decades. Can you talk about a little bit about why the Fiber Broadband Association has been such a strong priority for your company for such a long time?
Yeah, I'd be glad to, Gary. And first, let me just say thank you to Fiber Broadband Association, Fiber for Breakfast, having Rich and I on. This is really one of the favorite times of the year as the planning process has completed, and now it's kind of more in execution mode as we build up to August for Fiber Connect. But if I look back, really, you know, 20 years ago, our company, Gary, started in 2003, and fiber was still so new that we wanted to make sure we were part of an organization that focused specifically kind of in our space, just through continued education, training, networking, what the latest equipment was, and a place that our company and our leadership would have a voice and can make a difference. And for us, back then, it was the Fiber to the Home Council, so that kind of dates how long I've been around. And then we, of course, rebranded to the Fiber Broadband Association. But FBA has been and continues to be the go-to place for all things fiber broadband. And I would just kind of say for those companies out there that might be early into this space, whether you're a service provider or a vendor, FBA is the place to connect with, to really to hear from the industry leaders and experts. And for that, 20 years, it's really served our company well, and we're just glad to be a part of it, Gary.
Well, you know, JJ, you know, you've personally had an amazing career, you know, ascending to the president of your company at such a young age, you know, and, you know, Mike has been such an amazing contributor at Fiber Broadband Association. You know, he's on our senior council, you know, has been our chair several times before you. So, I mean, kind of what does it take to, you know, really get to your position, and, you know, kind of what have you learned from Mike and from the industry?
Well, you know, I can't say enough great things about Mike Hill, our company's former CEO and former chairman of the board for many years for Fiber Broadband Association. But, you know, when I think of some of the things I learned from Mike and just his leadership style, it was really servant leadership. He really stressed on being involved, making a difference, not only at our company, but also at the association level. Mike had just a real knack for just caring for others. No matter how busy Mike was, Mike always had an open door that you could come in and talk with him, brainstorm, or just share life. And so just his caring for others, and he really led by example. And a lot of people don't know this, but our company started in 2003, but I actually started working for Mike in 1996. So him and I have over 25 years history together. He's been a great mentor. He's been a great leader for the association, and I've learned a lot from him and many others. I think so much about timing. I had great timing and great mentors so far in my life, and just very grateful for that.
That's awesome, and it's great that Mike still, contributes into senior council, and we really appreciate everything you're doing, JJ, for us. Rich, you and I have known each other for decades, and you've run marketing for some of the most successful startups in history, such as Sycamore, and then you went out. I guess it's probably been close to 15, 20 years when you started your own company, C2C. Was it always C2C? Wasn't it something before that? Or?
It was always Connect 2, and it's actually, this is our 20th anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Nice.
So what are the same things that you've seen over the years that have really led up to this moment that really makes 2023 the pivotal year for our industry?
I think one of the things that's been interesting to watch over the last couple of decades is just how the network and the industry has really felt like it was heading toward this point. This is a major pivot point in the industry where things can transform. And I think one of the things that's unique is the opportunity the industry has, along with support from federal and state programs and the broader ecosystem, to really address a problem that has existed for decades, and that's closing the digital equity gap. And it seems like the momentum is there, the will is there, the people are there, and I just think we're at a signature moment. And it's really great to see how FBA has taken such a leadership position to create forums and opportunities for people to get together and discuss challenges and look for ways to overcome obstacles.
I have to say, I see your Fiber Forward in your background.
I want to get credit for that because I know, I wanted to get credit for my.
So tell us a little bit, so we got the dogs playing poker. So tell us a little bit, kind of the inspiration for this cover.
Well, so you had challenged us to have something creative, and it's one of those probably in the shower moments when you're not thinking about things. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be kind of fun to take something that everybody recognizes as something classical or historic, and pivot it and make it about us, about FiberConnect, or what's happening in the industry. And so for some reason, the dogs playing poker popped in my head, and I did a little research and found out it was a series of like 11 or 13 different paintings. And so we had the idea, and to create one that which showed, like, the theme. The idea was the year that everyone's stakes are on the table, right? Well, if you're going to do that, then poker is a nice way to communicate that. And so we had a lot of fun. Design this cover, picking the dogs. We picked the dogs are all from the top 10 breeds, so there were no dogs that were specific to anything, and had a lot of fun with it. And then I still remember it at the regional event where we were trying to, the sign behind the dog that has open 25-3, we were trying to figure out, I was like, we had something else first. It just felt like a missed opportunity to have what it was. I think it was the name of the bar. And you and I were texting back and forth, Gary, about what it should be, and we're going back and forth. And finally, it kind of came to me. I'm like, open 25-3, and I saw you read it and start laughing. I'm like, okay, I see you laughing. That's it. So there's I think 8 or 10 Easter eggs hidden in the design. So I hope people have enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it, and we look forward to sharing the Q2 cover, because we went back to the creative well and have something kind of special planned for that too.
Awesome. Hey, so Fiber Broadband's been hosting these regional FiberConnect workshops all over the country, and each of these has been a successive record. We get more attendees, and they're better and better and better. So obviously, post-pandemic, fiber has become important to everyone, and we have a lot of federal, state, and local subsidies, but something really special seems to be happening. JJ, your company is performing the actual fulfillment of fiber. You guys are actually connecting fiber to the house in states across the nation. So you have the boots on the ground. What are your guys seeing? What is making this such a special moment in our industry?
Yeah, Trac's been working with service providers since we started in 2003, Gary. And so we provide the installation fulfillment side, which is the fiber drops and then the in-home installations. And so what was true back in 2003 is still true today. Communities want what's best for their individuals, for families, for businesses, schools, healthcare providers. It's still true. Nothing like that has changed in 20 years. And the digital divide is just not a talking point, but it's a reality. I think about our 20-year history. We have partnered with over 30 service providers in communities. Currently, we're in 14 different communities in 10 different states. And these communities, Gary, are both rural, some urban, but they don't have reliable options. And what we're seeing is there's still a great need for reliable, high-speed symmetrical broadband service, which can only be accomplished through fiber. The incumbents are not serving the communities well. You've got poor customer service experience. You've got high prices, poor speeds, congested networks. And there is a great need, and the time is now. Never in our history have we had an opportunity to rise up as an industry, as a country, and end the digital divide. And, we joke with our planning group when you talk about these regional events that I honestly think we could throw a dart at a blank map, and wherever that dart landed, we could go and do a regional conference and have a successful audience based on just the need just across this country for high-speed fiber broadband that's reliable. And so we all have a great opportunity, and Fiber Connect is a great place to come and learn and to help us get there, to help us accomplish our goals.
Well, that's great. I just want to touch on one thing you said is, so there are areas incumbents don't do a good job, but there are certainly areas they do a great job. And really the areas you're focused in is in areas that the communities have been left behind. Is that right? Yeah,
it really is. The places we're going, there's not any broadband providers. They're usually the first one. And like the incumbents are not fiber broadband providers, and they're just not serving well. And that's rural, that's even some urban. And we're even in some kind of what I'll call maybe mid-major cities that still don't have reliable internet. And it's 2023, and it still kind of blows me away that we're at that point, but it is what it is. And we are all, as a group, as an association, working to end that.
So Rich and JJ, I mean, you guys have become the Rich and JJ show, but the theme for this year's conference is what fiber disrupts next. And when I look at, quantum networking, and I'm looking at the metaverse and artificial intelligence, and I mean, there's so much. But can you give us a view on the tasty meal that you're going to be preparing for us in Orlando?
Yeah, we've man, Gary, it's just been exciting. I look back at 2021, and we hit 2,000 attendees for Fiber Connect. Right out of the pandemic. Not sure what that was going to look like for us, and so 2021 we hit 2,000. Last year in 22 we grew 1,000. We hit 3,000 attendees, and so this year, man, just with the excitement, the need, we think we're going to hit 4,000 attendees at Fiber Connect, which is just incredible growth. It just shows you just the hunger of information for all things fiber broadband. So 4,000 attendees, 225 speakers, 5 pre-conference educational tracks, 7 main conference educational tracks, 42 breakout sessions, 235 exhibitors in our biggest expo hall yet. We're going to have 41,000 square feet of exhibit space. It's just incredible. We're going to have a C-suite forum, some new fiber meetups, technology deep dives, State Broadband Summit on Wednesday, and so much more. I know we'll dive into more specifics with Rich here in a couple minutes, but you do not want to miss Fiber Connect 23, Orlando, Florida, at the Gaylord Palms. It's going to be the must-go-to event of the year for all things fiber.
And Rich, you know, you like to talk about that the conference is like a nice meal. Can you maybe describe what you mean by that?
I am a bit of a foodie, so maybe I'm just projecting onto the conference. But if you look at the pre-conference workshops, you know, that's where we introduce new topics, new partners, and that's sort of your appetizer. That's the day you come in early. Not everyone has an appetizer, but you should. This year, you should absolutely save room for the appetizer, so don't eat lunch. We have 5 pre-conference workshops. We have the traditional broadband toolkit that FBA does. We have a workshop on sustainability. We have a workshop on community broadband. We have a workshop on middle mile. And I'm particularly excited is that we're partnering this year with the National Association of Counties to really talk about fiber broadband at the local level. And that's going to be a great session, a new level of content for FBA. Moving on to the meal, the meat and potatoes of it, maybe the Chateaubriand, if you want to get a little, a little fancier. We've added, last year in 2022, we had some great new content. This year, we pushed ourselves to add more. As you mentioned, the theme is what fiber disrupts next. And so we have introduced something called Operator Light Talks. And these are 18-minute TED Talk style talks that are from our carrier members to talk about how their networks are supporting and delivering innovation and disruption in their markets to really underpin that theme. So we've got AT&T, Google Fiber, Frontier, EPB, Ting Internet, and Lumos Fiber delivering those over the course of the conference. And then and then the afternoon has 7 different breakout sessions to continue that meal. And this year we've partnered with the Broadband Forum for those engineers and scientists that want technology, deep dives on technology. We have 90-minute sessions called Technology Deep Dives that we're curating with the Broadband Forum. And then dessert, save room for dessert. On Wednesday, we have really focused that agenda on what we're calling the State Broadband Summit. And that's where we're packing all the information that's going to be critical for people to know as state broadband officers and communities look to leverage federal and state funding to build their 5-year plan. And I'm really excited by the speakers we have lined up for that. It's going to be a great way to end your Fiber Connect meal.
That's great, Rich. We've been talking about this for months now. Just with our agenda, it's jam-packed from Sunday to Wednesday. Maybe touch on, let the audience know a little bit about some of our new networking opportunities, because we kind of take it for granted. We've been doing Fiber Connect for so long, but there's so many newbies that come to Fiber Connect each year, and we want to try to find some ways to serve them and get them connected. So share a little bit just about some of the networking opportunities.
Sure. So, and we have, like you said, networking opportunities for all different groups that might be attending. Starting with on Sunday, we have 2 network meetups at Records Bar at the resort, and that's for fiber under 40, so people that are younger in our industry. And then we have DE&I on Monday night, and then on Sunday night. On Monday night, we have the Women in Fiber meetup, and then we have the New to Fiber Connect. And I might have those dates mixed up a little bit, but that's going to be at the 5 o'clock somewhere bar on the expo hall. So just opportunities to show up, meet people, introduce yourself, exchange business cards for those that still have those, and make those connections. And then for our executive levels, we've created some programming called the C-Suite Forum, and that is invite-only executive sessions with some pretty amazing high-level regulatory and federal leaders to meet with the executives of the companies from our Premier membership that are building these networks. So it's really a meeting of the minds of the people that are providing the funding to the people that are actually building networks. And that's Monday afternoon. And then we have a welcome party sponsored by AdTran on Monday night, and then Havana Nights Tuesday night that's sponsored by Calix. So just great events throughout the conference.
So I think our Sunday nights are kickoff, but Monday nights Havana Nights.
Oh, that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just so excited. I mixed up the dates.
Yeah. No, it's going to be great. Yeah.
What do we need to be wearing for Havana Nights? I picture my.
We've got to have.
The doors are optional but encouraged.
we've got to get some fiber broadband Hawaiian shirts and the whole deal. We've got to have this is going to be a great setting. I'm not sure if you've been to the Gaylord Palms before, but you've got that nice, huge pool area. We're going to have some live music. And so it's going to be a fun time. And we're looking forward to that. Rich, also, we got some special luncheons. We've done these in the past, but talk a little bit just about some of these special luncheons. I know some are invitation only, but ways that we're trying to help with some groups and some networking as well through that.
Sure. So we have the network operators luncheon. We have the public officials, which this year we're also broadening that to include the attendees from the state broadband offices. We have Women in Fiber, which is always very popular. And then we have the keynote appreciation lunch that is in advance of the C-suite forum that brings all the keynote speakers together with FBA leadership, FBA member leadership. And then, one of the things, again, the networking, we've added a brand new program called Meet Your State Broadband Office. It'll be Tuesday afternoon. We've invited representatives from all 50 states plus territories to come meet with FBA members. It's pre-registration because seating is limited, and they'll get an opportunity it's an open moderated Q&A. So looking forward to that on Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, I just want to mention the Women in Fiber. That is always such a tremendous event, but it also sells out. So please, please, please register early, because I hate when women are trying to go and they hadn't registered, and but they always invite me to go, which I don't want to disrupt the Women in Fiber thing, but it is so emotional, and it's really eye-opening for me to see what last year women were standing up and giving testimonials and things like that. So it's a really important event, and so please register early for that. So we got some questions that came in, and one is there's a tendency for these annual conferences to focus on the good news and success of fiber in industry, but are there any potential clouds on the horizon, or things that the industry should be thinking about as well?
Yeah, good question. I feel like, we have something that's going to serve anyone, whatever stage they are, whatever their role is or business is in the fiber broadband space. I feel like this year at Fiber Connect, we're going to have something that serves everyone. With a breakout session, general session, our State Broadband Summit, I feel like we're touching on so many different areas. And Rich, I know you can add to it, but I really feel like this agenda is probably the fullest, richest one we've had ever as far as what we're covering.
Yeah, I think we're trying to touch all bases, like you said, and have something for everyone, whether you're a technologist and the technology deep dives appeal, or the market-driven breakout sessions to the State Broadband Summit. I think what we want people to understand is, because there's a lot of talk out there, we talk about obstacles and clouds, there's people or groups that are pushing for a more technology agnostic approach. And the reality is the future isn't technology agnostic, 100% technology dependent. Like if people actually want these application services to be available, and you want to have any community benefit from the economic and growth opportunities only delivered by fiber, that's not a technology agnostic choice. It is 100% technology dependent.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, it's really preparing. And why I think it's so important that leaders, and we're going to see more and more senior people show up at our event this year. You have to know what's on the horizon. The light talks are going to be operators are going to talk about what they're talking, what the innovations and disruption they're creating. And for example, The Economist had a great article this month on artificial intelligence, how it's hacked humanity. And you start looking at, like Elon Musk and kind of the debates going on of, are we opening Pandora's box with artificial intelligence? And these are the things, this is going to happen whether we want it to or not. And so we need to prepare our networks and really see how these innovations really are going to affect the businesses that we're all working to build and how we're connecting every American. So I think there's a lot of, and I'd say dark clouds are, there's still a lot of policy issues that we're working through. There's things like technology neutral. You should use, lesser technologies to connect Americans. versus being able to have something that's future-proof, you know, and those kind of misguided issues, you know, we really need to get all together and make sure that we provide the best possible solutions for every American and not create new digital divides with putting, you know, the wrong connectivity in place. So there's a lot to be talked about. And we also invited the cable industry. You know, we're embracing that as cable's moving quickly to fiber, that, you know, we need to all be rowing in the same direction. And so there's a great cable track. So a lot of great stuff.
Well, one of the things too, Gary, and this will be supported by Ting Internet. Elliot Nuss, their CEO, is doing his Opera Light Talk on is fiber's role in disrupting customer experience. Because you said there's AI and there's machine learning and there's VR and telemedicine. All these applications are going to be flooding the home, and right now they're all designed to be optimized for capacity. But when all these things are working at once, and you're working from home, and your kid's trying to watch a movie or whatever, you know, the person that's going to be impacted is customer experience. So the thing that's going to be impacted is customer experience. And fiber is really the only thing to future-proof customer experience. So their talk is on how fiber disrupts customer experience, so that all these applications and services that might be designed independent of the network can perform as they're supposed to, because the network's capable of supporting it.
Well, JJ and Rich, I could talk all day on this, as we usually do talk all day on this. This is great stuff. So really appreciate that everything that you guys are doing to build the best and most important event in the industry. And we just really love how much fun that you both are having, you know, pulling this all together. So thanks everybody for joining us today, and I look forward to getting back together next Wednesday. We're going to be discussing redefining the meaning of P3, People, Partnerships, and Preparation, with Trent Edwards, the president of Mirror's Broadband Division, as he discusses solving key construction issues that new owners, operators are facing as they look to build fiber broadband networks. So you're not going to miss that, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday. Thanks, everyone.